All right, we're making bread today. I started a timer when I started taking stuff out, so we had a little technical difficulty. So when we make bread, pull our starter right out of the fridge. This is prepped from last time we made bread. It's ready to go. We're gonna get warm water. One thing you can do to kill bread is hot water. It'll kill the starter. So warm water, cold water is okay. It just slows the process down. If you're prudent or you're smart, you may want to measure the water. Keep it under 90, 95 degrees. Okay, let's get started here. I do everything by weight in grams. I know my recipe is 325 grams of water. I tear it out my bowl.
I know the weight in case I mess up.
This recipe is about 70% hydration. You could go as low as maybe 60% or a little bit less. So I know my starter or my water could be anywhere from 300 to 325. All right, so I'm gonna tear my scale, and you see my starter, nice and bubbly and fluffy. And that's not that critical. It just takes longer if your starter's not as active. I'm gonna put 100 grams of starter in here. 110. Not a big deal. I like to mix my starter into the water. And I'm gonna tear that out. I left my spoon in there. My wife's probably cringing. 475 grams of all-purpose or bread flour. We use King Arthur's bread flour. It's done well. My spoon's buried. My wife's laughing at me. All right, there's our 475 grams of flour. Now, this is debated. When you add the salt, I put it in right now. I'm putting in 10 grams. 10 grams of salt. And then we're gonna mix this just till everything's wet. It doesn't have to be perfect. When you do the stretch and folds in an hour, it'll bring everything together real nice. We're just trying to get everything just kind of combined. All right, this is probably pretty good. All right, so we did our quick mix. Like I say, it's not perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're gonna put a cover on this. And let it go for an hour. Now, my starter. I pulled 100 grams of starter out of there. Now I know my jar weighs about 400 grams, okay? There's 535 grams. I got 135 grams of starter in there, okay? So if I make another loaf of bread, 100 grams, it's gonna basically take all that out. So I'm gonna add to my starter now.
No.
The one thing you have to do is water and flour have to be 1-to-1 by weight. So I'm gonna add 100 and 100 to this, and that's way I'll have 2 more loaves plus worth of flour in here, or starter, I'm sorry. So there's 85 grams of water. I'm going to tear that out, and then I'm going to add 85 grams of flour. And I said 100, but I went 85. It doesn't matter, as long as the water and flour are the same. If anybody wants to do the math, if I had over 100 in there, I'm adding 160, so I'll have like 260 grams of starter for the next time I want to make bread or whatever. You make bagels, English muffins, naan, sourdough cookies. So, and what we're going to do is the starter is going to sit out on the counter for maybe 4 or 5 hours, and we'll look at the level of this. I don't want it to double in size. I want it to go a little less than double because it'll keep growing in the fridge. But like I said, your starter, if we forget about this for weeks on time, it'll still be good. Your bread just doesn't rise as rapidly. All right, so starter's made. I'll put that on the counter with my bread. We're gonna come back to the bread in an hour and start our stretch and folds. We got 8 minutes. Okay, I'll see you in an hour. Say goodbye. All right, a point about the starter is when we mixed everything together, we put a line on the jar here. And that gives us a reference point of its growth progress. So this essentially will double if I left it out indefinitely. Well, not indefinitely. It's going to double, then it's going to start to drop. But when it gets, say, this would be doubled. When it gets about here, we put it back in the fridge till we're ready to make it, because it'll keep growing in the fridge, because this will become the house temperature, which is about 68 degrees today. And in the fridge, it'll slowly cool down, and it'll keep growing, and then it'll essentially stop. Now, what it'll do in the fridge, it won't double anymore because the bubble sizes start to shrink because it's cold in the fridge. But it's still growing. So if you wait till it's all the way doubled and then put it in the fridge, there's no more extra food for the starter. So I kind of put it in not quite doubled. All right. All right, we're starting our stretch and folds. Clean hands, obviously,
Wet hands.
but wet hands. The stretch and folds, this is 1 of 4. Now this is an hour after we mix this together. We're basically stretch, fold, and maybe one more stretch and fold. And then I kind of just...
Don't overwork it.
My wife says don't overwork it. So I just kind of bring it around, and it looks a little better than it did the first time. And we're going to put the cover back on. Now, one thing about our bowl here, I know my bowl, and there's a line on here. So when this grows to the point where it's done its first fermentation, it'll be up to this line. I know that because I've made this bread a few times. You have to know your vessel and what is double or double plus. And for me, that's about double plus, and it works well. You get to know your bread. Let's stop the timer because I'm essentially done and I can keep talking. So this is the first of 4 stretch and folds. We'll do another one in a half an hour. It's 10 o'clock now, so at 10:30 we'll do another one, 11:30, and then 12 we'll be done. And then this will keep growing until it's doubled, until it hits our line. Our starter, you know, it may or may not be starting to grow yet. The bubbles might be increasing because the jar is warming up, but we'll keep an eye on this. When it gets up to about here, we'll stretch and folds builds strength of the dough. It makes the dough stronger. When you bake it, it'll hold its shape better. If you don't, it'll just go blue. So stretch and folds build strength. It's an essential part of dough making. All right, bye. All right, 10:30, a half an hour after our first stretch and fold, we're doing our second stretch and fold. And every time we do this, it'll get better. Now, one thing you gotta remember, this is a dollar's worth of ingredients. Relax, have fun. And this will get better and better every time. It's still a little lumpy.
It's not the way it's stretched.
But it'll get better. And I'll see you in a half an hour. Bye. wet hands. Now I was told I don't do this right by a bread expert. You pick it up, put it back down. I'm not even sure what I'm doing. I like to pull it apart, stretch it, fold it. You're just building strength. So anything you do, and see how it's getting nicer and nicer. It's getting smoother. The lumps are working out. You can feel them. You can't probably see them. But that's our third stretch and fold. We are almost 11 minutes into this whole project time-wise. So I'll see you at the last stretch and fold. Bye. Wet hands, last stretch and fold. It's 11:30. Previously I said we'd be done at 12, but I can't do math in my head when I'm under pressure. Okay, this is looking a lot better. It's feeling a lot better. One thing you gotta be careful of is make sure there's nothing on your hands that smells like fragrances or, you know.
Lotion.
So this is good. It's gonna sit here till it doubles, and it's chilly house, so this might take till dinner time. So we'll see. It's patience. And our starter, if you look at it, it's grown. So maybe another hour or two, I'll put that back in the fridge until we do another sourdough adventure, per se. We are self-proclaimed amateurs, by the way. All right, see ya when this is ready to shape. Bye. All right, starter we fed when we were making the bread. It's ready to go back in the fridge now. We make what we think we're gonna need for our next baking project. You always add the same amount of flour to water by weight. So in this case, we added 85 grams of water to 85 grams of flour. There was 130 or 120 grams of starter in the jar. And that should be good for our next baking projects. All right, so judging when your sourdough has risen enough to shape it, I know by experience that this line is a good rise. We're still not there. It's 5 o'clock. But a trick that might be better, my wife, when she used to start with sourdough, it was basically she used this thing. She would put her bread in here. I think she marked it. This might be a mark from before. And then you can see, because this is, you know, it's not tapered. So if it doubles like the starter, you can see when it doubles. And it's probably better for beginners to use something more like this for the first ferment than something like this, where it's, you know, the volume gets bigger as it, you know, as it goes up. All right, I'm babbling. All right, start our timer. So our bread's risen. It's 9 o'clock at night. The house was 66 degrees today.
It's been.
So it's time to shape the bread. It's done its first ferment. They call this bulk ferment. In this case, it's not really a bulk ferment because I'm only making one loaf. You did 2 loaves. You bulk 2 of them together, but this is the first ferment. So we're gonna take it. I floured the surface. We put the mat down on. You could do it on the counter. The more you get out of the bowl, the less you gotta clean. It's a little sticky because it's a high hydration bread. And you kind of want to work some of the air out, just a little bit. There's a million ways of doing this. Don't get too crazy. I'm just gonna fold it in, fold it, fold it. And people are gonna cringe, the professional bakers, but this all works. If you watch one of our earlier videos, I mean, I just did it like this and put it in the proofing basket and it worked. What I'm gonna try doing now is pulling it toward myself and tightening this dough ball up. This is it's only $1 worth of flour. Have fun, play with it. It's gonna turn out.
Repeat.
So I'm tightening this up. So now, the next step is going to be to put it in a proofing basket. I think they're called bannetons or something like that. Now what we do is we take rice flour and we dust this proofing basket. If you put regular flour in, it kind of sticks to it and it doesn't come out that well. With the rice flour, it doesn't really combine with the, so we're dusting this. So we got a light coat of flour on here, and you see when we bake it, you'll have those white lines. This is the top of the loaf. When we put it in the basket, we put the top down, bottom up, so when we take it out to bake it, it'll be right side up, and you'll get these lines in the bread. So I'm gonna grab this a couple more times, pull it tight, pull it tight. My wife's laughing at me. I'm gonna pinch this together. So now, that was the first ferment. The next ferment we're gonna do is gonna be in the fridge. This is at 68 degrees now. The house is getting a little warmer. In the fridge, it'll slowly cool down, but in the meanwhile, it's gonna ferment, but in a controlled situation. The nice thing about doing a fridge fermentation is that I can let this go 2 days, 3 days, and then bake it. I can bake it first thing in the morning, I can bake it tomorrow afternoon, I can bake it tomorrow night.
When I said that. But that doesn't make any sense at all. You first, you're last. You can be second, you can be third, fourth, hell, you can even be fifth.
So you take it right out of the fridge and we're gonna bake it. So we'll see you tomorrow when we bake this thing. All right, good night. Okay, this is our second loaf since Rosie stole my first one. We're proofing in the straight-walled container versus the bowl with tapered sides. So you can see that it's much easier to see when the dough is pretty much doubled. So it's ready for shaping. Since Rosie stole my bread, she's gonna shape. Well, she's preparing her proofing basket the way I did with rice flour. So this is kind of a review, but you'll see that her technique's a little, probably more polished than mine when it comes to shaping. So she's gonna throw flour down. Like I said, you could do this on the counter. We just have these bread mats.
Jeez.
That's why I go to the bowls, because the straight wall containers are just a little bit more of a pain, but they're better. Get a couple loaves under your belt, see what everything's supposed to look like, and then you'll be an expert. And you can see all the bubbles in there, the CO2.
Yeah.
And you saw pictures of the other loaf turn out, and you'll see this one turn out. With all the scoring, it may not look, this might look a little more like a traditional sour loaf, but that was pretty creative on her part. So she's just trying to tighten up, she's just trying to tighten up that, you can see all that CO2 in there.
Wow.
And that's what makes it rise.
It's breaking.
Now, Rosie, like most bread bakers, they worry about getting this thing really tight. I don't worry about it so much, and we've had side-by-side loaves, and they look very similar. So don't drive yourself crazy. So she's putting it in, bottom or top down, bottom up. So when we flip it into the Dutch oven, the bottom will be down, the top will be up. This goes in the fridge. We'll probably bake it sometime tomorrow when it's more convenient for us, or the next day. All right, that's it. Bye. Okay, we're getting ready to bake. Our Dutch ovens are gonna go in the oven. But before we do that, we use parchment paper for our dough. This is one we've already pre-used, so that's already cut. But it's better to do this ahead of time. And the trick I learned from, I think, Ben Starr, is just crumble it up. And he says, do it twice. Crumble it back up. And we're going to put it in here, because the Dutch oven's cold right now. Imagine doing this with a hot Dutch oven. Rosie wants me to do it with a hot Dutch oven, but I'm not going to. So let's put this, get it kind of close. Our Dutch ovens go in the oven for about an hour, 45 minutes, until the oven preheats to 475. And then the dough will drop right into these Dutch ovens. So they're going in the oven. Make sure nothing is in there. Nothing's in there. So they're in. Oven set for 475. We'll see you in a little bit. What?
Go again.
Time for baking. Our starter's still in the fridge. It's been pre-fed from the last time we made these. These are coming out. See how they're wrapped. All right, we shaped these yesterday. I think I shaped one in the morning and then one in the afternoon or at night. So they look kind of similar. That's that controlled ferment in the fridge. So I have two Dutch ovens in there at 475. So as I said, this is the bottom. When I flip it, this comes out. I wipe some of the extra rice flour off. I'll do the same thing again. The bottom. Now there's two ways of scoring this. One with a razor blade. Nice deep cut. Kind of like a crescent. That's what everybody does. But as you saw, my wife did some fancy stuff with the thing. Now I'm going to show you, if you don't have a razor blade, just take a pair of scissors. Nice big cuts. And the cuts kind of let the dough open up. The other thing that opens the dough up is the steam from the, because we're cooking the first 20 minutes with the lids on, which lets the dough steam, which helps the rising. And then we take the lids off for the last 20 minutes and let them brown. So I'm doing two of these at once. Oh, there's a little something in this. That drops right in there. This one drops in. Remember, those lids are hot, so I've never done it yet, but it's always a first. Okay, I'm going to set my timer for 20 minutes. After 20 minutes, we pull the lids, reduce the temperature to 450 for another 20 minutes, and we're done. See you in 20 minutes. All right, this is when you see what your loaves look like. Pulling the lids off. That's what they look like. They're not going to rise
They're
anymore.
very white.
They're not going to rise anymore. So I'm turning my temperature down to 450. I'm turning my temperature down to 450 and then baking an additional 20 minutes. And those loaves that are kind of like white right now will be nice and brown, hopefully not burnt. And we'll check them with the thermometer for 206 degrees Fahrenheit at that time. All right, see you in 20. All right, so I'm pulling this out a little before 20 minutes because Rosie reminded me that I think we're baking these at 19. But you can see it's a nice brown, and I know this is going to be done.
I'm stopping.
Don't worry, we can edit all the stupid things I say. Yeah, I can just tell that's done. So we'll pull the other one out. Oops. Now I think that one was with the scissors. And this one was with the razor blade. And that's
It's right.
okay, so here's our loaves. All right, these both turned out. At least I hope they did. We're gonna cut them in a half an hour. We're gonna give them to our Zumba instructors tonight for presents. Give us a thumbs up if you like this. It means a lot to us. Remember, KISS. Keep it simple and smile. It's $1 worth of flour. Have fun. Get a couple loaves under your belt and then experiment. Follow mine. I have a previous video if you want to take the starter out the night before and do it that way. And that has the house temperature at like 70 or 72 degrees. So timing's everything with time and temperature. Our rises were really slow because the house was cold. Here's another loaf of bread that I made last night around midnight, and it's 3 o'clock, and it's ready to shape pretty soon. Our bannetons are freed up, so our proofing baskets. So we're always making bread. All right, have fun. I'll see you in a little bit when I cut these and see what the inside looks like. Oh, okay, we're slicing this. Here's the crumb. I think it's a really good crumb. Not too open, not too tight, so I think I have my timing pretty good. If there's a lot of holes in it, that tells you that it's probably under fermented. With no holes, it's probably over fermented.
Okay.
So this is a Swiss or German slicer. And I'll try to leave a description of the slicer. We got to wrap these and get out of here. Okay, bye. Here's our loaves. Remember, KISS. Keep it simple and smile. It's only $1 worth of flour.